When lonely feelings chill the meadows of your mind, just think, when winter comes, can spring be far behind? Beneath the deepest snows, the secret of a rose is merely that it knows you must believe in spring. Just as a tree is sure its leaves will reappear, it knows its emptiness is just a time of year. The frozen mountain streams of April's melting streams, how crystal clear it seems you must believe in spring. You must believe in love and trust it's on its way, just as the sleeping rose awaits the kiss of May. So in a world of snow, of things that come and go, where what you think you know you can't be certain of, you must believe in spring and love. So in a world of snow, of things that come and things that go, where what you think you know you can't be certain of. Oh, you must believe in spring and love. Oh, you must believe in spring and love. Midwestern heart, big ornery thing beating away in the chest, steadfast as Midwestern weather ain't, loves too hard, expects too much, sometimes doesn't laugh enough, moralistic, masochistic, honest. It throbs to simple fun, dress it up in spats and tails and watch it do the foxtrot round the world. It resonates to rolling meadows, lush landscapes, everything. It wishes for cows to be wild again. Afraid of heights, it will tickle the tops of mountains right where it lies, beating away in the chest. Big ornery thing, Midwestern heart. Some people can't love from a long, long distance. Some can't love from across the room. Some jump up in the morning to glimpse the sunrise. Some snap up the shade to let in the gloom. It's a big enough world and it takes all kinds, the good, the bad, and mostly the in-between. Well, I love the people with the happy hearts. Oh, let your heart dance. There are years that ask big, big questions and years that try to answer them all. But there are times too scary sorry for questions when you tumble to your knees and you call. Well, old tyrant gravity can keep you way down if you let yourself forget how to fly. I need the people with the happy heart, so let your heart fly. Well, just take it all in to see where you've been. Let it all out again. You know the times you've been shamed into silence when you needed most of all to be heard. You had some loving as sweet as a lemon taken slow, poison from the slippery word. No one has ever made the last mistake yet or bounced back one too many times. Well, you owe yourself a dose of happy heart, or set your heart free. Yeah, just take it all in, see where you've been, then let it all out again. In a corner is by walking in too straight of a line. The only way you'll end up all alone is by refusing to give someone a sign. Well, I'd rather feel all bad than just half good, though I no doubt before I'm through. Bring on the people with the happy hearts, so let your heart sing, yeah. I love the people with the, I need the people with the, bring on the people with the happy hearts. All right, here we are in Paola, Kansas, after a fashion at the Open Range Concerts. Boy, it was probably close to 9 years ago I met Peggy and Bruce at a Folk Alliance International Conference, and not much else happened there, but I met these wonderful people who invited me to come and play in Paola. In fact, I spent my birthday that year in Paola, Kansas, and got to know some wonderful, wonderful people. So I'm so thrilled to be with you again in this fashion this time around. And thank you so much, Peggy, for asking me back. And we're doing this concert in Bruce's memory as well. So a little bit about heart there and my own roots in the Midwest. And I know you in Kansas don't necessarily think of yourselves as the Midwest, but I'll tell you, I live in Connecticut now. And anything eastern New York City, I mean, anything western New York City is basically the Midwest until you get to Montana, you know, so just bear with me on that. And it's a scary time right now. It's really, and we're all trying to stay in tune and up to the moment on information, and it can be kind of a, it can be a trap. It can be a little bit of self-sabotage in there because there's so much going on, and we know that the media tends to focus on the negative stuff. You know, there have been so many of these incredible Black Lives Matter demonstrations and marches for civil rights, and they're peaceful for the most part, but if one episode happens, that's kind of what gets the headlines. So we have to do a lot of sorting out, a lot of parsing, which leads me to this next song I wanted to sing for you. We're like sort of always walking this fine, kind of so fine line between the one and the other. And this song was inspired by that very thing. Two different things I heard on the radio. One was the end of a talk Deval Patrick was giving, where he said, "When did we become a country that whispers our kindness and shouts our anger?" And then on another trip, I was just kind of half listening to an interview, and the words everyday gestures came into my head from this interview, and I spent the next 60 miles just kind of going, everyday gestures, everyday gestures. Like the words just felt good in my mouth, and they went to my very soul. And so those things kind of turned into this song as we search through what's happening and what really matters and what really counts. And we know that those everyday gestures aren't going to show up in the headlines nearly as often as they should. So they're showing up in this song. Shattered by greed, the undeserved suffering are left in need. Children for sale, whole countries bleed. The land is abused with poison seed. Yet human kindness flows unchecked. It makes space for children to feel respect. It sends brave souls into the heart of neglect, where they rebuild places and lives once wrecked. Ooh, the doctor in the village, the children outside. It's the everyday gestures that turn the tide. The everyday gestures that turn the tide. Sing that line with me, will ya? It's the everyday gestures that turn the tide. The everyday gestures that turn the tide. Ooh. Well, this life is so hard to make. Too little work, thieves on the take. Your children hungry, so much at stake. It's enough to make anyone's spirit break. Yet love goes on in the bleakest place. It shines right out from your lover's face, from the friends who hold you in sacred space, from its generous act of healing grace. Just a tender touch in a wakeful night. It's the everyday gestures that make it all right. The everyday gestures that make it all right. It's the everyday gestures that make it all right. The everyday gestures that make it all right. Mm-hmm. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah. Oh, our planet shudders with pain from endless wars for private gain. Yet peace descends like timely rain, where love compels us to try once again. Sometimes it's just a dance in the street, or a meal on the doorstep when you come home beat. It's wherever we conquer the mean with the sweet, where compassion enters so the troubles retreat. Ooh, the fierce loving kindness, the hand unfurled. It's the everyday gestures that change the world. The everyday gestures that change the world. It's the everyday gestures that change the world. The everyday gestures that change the world. It's the everyday gestures that change the world. The everyday gestures that change the world. Oh. Everyday gestures. Say those words to yourself. They feel good, and they feel good to do them too. We got to be doing as many of them as we can right now. I'm going to stick with that idea of the news cycle for a minute, and the idea that, you know, back in the day, there would be some news and then it would be over, and that would be it for a while. It would become the olds until there was some new news. That is until the news cycle became a 24/7 reality. And then they had to start filling in those gaps to kind of keep you hanging on, hanging in. And so we have this kind of affliction of certainty, and somehow the idea that knowing is a comfort. But when we just keep knowing the same thing over and over again, that is something happened, it's not so healthy. You know, they've done brain research that you've heard that something happens, and when you hear it over and over again, you understand intellectually that it happened, but some part of your limbic brain is going, ha, ha, ha. So it's not so great for the nervous system after a while. And that brings me to this next song, because I was, watching the news for a while, and the endlessness of it, the repetition of it, and the idea that after they tell you what the news is, then they trot out this kind of new substrata of experts to kind of tell you what you heard. The talking heads who go on then until the next round of news comes in, and they always are so certain. They just are so certain. And so I was having there's a great quote I saw in a Unitarian church that I played at one time that said, "The tongue weighs nearly nothing, yet few can hold it. And I was thinking one day how refreshing it would be if they trotted out one of those experts, X, an unknown factor, spurt, a drip under pressure. Think of that when you say the word expert next time. And they got asked a question, and they just kind of sat there and said, beats me. And I thought, wow, how refreshing that would be. And that led to the writing of this song, which has a part for you in it. You get to be the honorary debts. And you'll see what I mean by debts in a minute. Between each verse and chorus, you're going to go da 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 da. Heavy emphasis on the da. And I'll let you know when it's time for you to come in. Just one more quick story. The Dalai Lama was doing a talk in Madison, Wisconsin years ago that my friend was at. And at the end, he was fielding questions. And the last question was from this young man who said, "Oh, Your Holiness, Dalai Lama, if you had the power to change just one thing in the world, what would it be?" And the Dalai Lama sat there for a moment, and then he kind of did his little Dalai Lama giggle and said, "I don't know." And that's the name of this song. The composure on the talking head could put your mind at ease, assuring us with manly tones of inevitable victories. The stats are in the stars aligned, the planets on our side. Just follow these instructions. Then he stopped and stared wide-eyed. And maybe it was fairy dust or a ray from outer space, but a look of pure confusion washed across his startled face. Then a sigh of deep relief made his body tremble so, as he softly murmured, "I don't know." Here you go. Da 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 da. I don't know. Don't you wish they'd just say, "I don't know"? Turn off the mic and say, "I gotta go." Your guess is just as good as mine. And then just maybe you and I could start to work together, talking heart to heart. Remember, honesty's the real, true art. The question never is the crime. Da 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 da. It was yet another expert with a blueprint for success. Blathering through the airwaves, I was listening more or less. Washing clothes and paying bills, I was comforted to know that someone had the larger problems handled, arranged, and so I was stunned to hear his booming voice falter and subside. And listening very closely now, my shock I could not hide, for when next he spoke, his voice came very tearfully and low. "I'm so sorry, but I really just don't know. Da 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 da. I don't know. Don't you wish they'd just say, "I don't know"? Turn off the mic and say, "I gotta go." Your guess is just as good as mine. And then just maybe you and I could start to work together, talking heart to heart. Remember, honesty's the real, true art. The question never is the crime. Here you go now. Da, 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 da. So let's convene a conference with the title, I don't know. A celebration with no agenda of heated counter-pro. First one person talking, then another. Think of that. Listening and responding, each in turn, a thoughtful chat. Well, there'd have to be some women there, and children too, of course, to bang the dumb drum when someone gets on their high horse. For the answers to the deepest questions only seem to show after a healthy round of "I don't know." Da 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 da. I don't know. Don't you wish they'd just say, "I don't know"? Turn off the mic and say, "I gotta go." Your guess is just as good as mine. And then just maybe you and I could start to work together, talking heart to heart. Remember, honesty's the real, true art. The question never is the crime. Da 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 da. Oh, come on, once more. Da 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 da. Doesn't that feel better? Well, I told Peggy that I would play this next song. We're just a few days away from Halloween, although there are a lot scary things in Halloween going on right now. Personally, I feel that way anyway. But Halloween is that traditional time when the veils thin between the worlds, and you get glimpses. This next song was written by Michael Smith, who wrote this song after reading Anne Rice's first vampire novel called Interview with the Vampire. I think it came out in 1973. And I heard him sing this song, and I was just devastated by it, which totally meant I had to find him and I had to learn the song. And this is before the internet, where you just you go, hey, send me the lyrics and music to that song, will you? Da-da-da, do this. Now, I heard him sing it in Detroit, and I was living in Seattle at the time, and that I knew he lived in Chicago, and then I was spending time in Chicago, so I had to track him down. This was a pilgrimage, I tell you. And I had to find him and sit down with him with my little cassette tape recorder and have him play the song, and then I had to learn it. I had to play it over and over and over again and figure out how the chords went and learn the song the old school way. So by the time I learned it, it was in me. It was inside me. And it's such a gripping story about somebody on that cusp between the worlds. And I guess you might say the story, if you've never read the novel, check it out. I mean, a reporter gets a chance to sit down with a vampire and hear his life story. And this is what came out of it for Michael Smith. In the dark of moon, there is no light, I'm free. I have no love to blind my eyes for me. Dark of moon's a time for flying far below. The world is lying unaware. My soul is crying vampire. This is my song. I love you all. You're beautiful to me. Though there's not a one among you who can see. Who among you understands it? Bloody mouths, bloody hands. Oh, you know, but soon you'll know the vampire, and it won't be long. Your life's too short. Love is gone too soon. Come with me and fly the dark of moon. That's not life if you must lose it. That's not death if you refuse it. Who can blame you if you choose the vampire? Forever young, forever young, forever Well, let's talk some more about flying. Let's talk about Amelia Earhart, because she grew up not too far from Paola, Kansas. She was born and grew up in Atchison, Kansas. She was born in 1897, and before there were airplanes, I think she saw her first airplane when she was 10 years old at the Iowa State Fair, but the bug didn't really bite her until she was about 20, when she was in Toronto. And, you know, I looked into this because I thought, well, she would have been, how old would she have been during the 1918 flu? And sure enough, she was 20 years old, and she was in Toronto. She'd gone there to become a Red Cross nurse, which is what her sister was doing, to take care of soldiers coming back from World War I, which is the thing that made her a lifelong pacifist, was seeing those boys come back from war. And she actually got the flu. She got the Spanish flu and had pneumonia and was left kind of with a lifelong sinusitis that would give her problems when she was flying, actually, from time to time. So that was going on in her life, but apparently a plane flew pretty close to her in Toronto, and she said something like, "That little red machine seemed to be talking to me." And it wasn't long after that she started taking lessons and went on, of course, to break all sorts of records and bring aviation into our daily lives in a way that nobody had thought of at that point, to take it beyond just stunt flying. She envisioned, you know, planes being like buses in the sky, and everybody just laughed at her. But anyway, I got to write some songs for a musical. That never happened, which actually you may not realize is the case for most musicals that are getting written. They never happen. A few make it, but this one didn't. The playwright died of cancer, and I got to learn so much about Amelia in the course of writing songs, about her character and why she was such an inspiration beyond just the fact that she flew an airplane and, you know, broke all sorts of records. She was a remarkable human being for any time, much less that time. So I'm going to play this song for her. I consider this sort of her aria. You know, if she was asked, I think she just, in the play where this song was going to go, she'd just broken a new altitude record out in San Diego, and some reporter asked her some snarky question, and she went in this direction instead. Everyone thinks when the eagle flies, it savors the freedom of flight. But maybe we anthropomorphize just because it's a beautiful sight. When the fledgling falls or is pushed from the nest, is it instinct alone that prevails? Then who can explain the way we're possessed to go up, up, up with the wind at our tails? But there's one thing as clear as the sky on a day that was clearly meant to fly on. Each time I leave the ground, it feels brand new. Each time I touch back down, I'm thrilled clear through. Even walking's an extra kick when you've recently sailed the sky. Oh, and like to think wherever we're not is the place we must surely belong, chasing ourselves to the next perfect spot just to find we brought trouble along. That stowaway trouble won't make a peep till we're damn sure we left it behind. Then it prickles our skin while we toss in our sleep till we wake with a restless heart and mind. Oh, but there's one place where a mighty calm is as certain to soothe as old Gilead's balm is. Each time I leave the ground, it feels brand new. Each time I touch back down, I'm thrilled to clear through. Even walking's an extra kick when you've recently sailed the sky. Oh, and I can't wait to fly. There she goes. There she goes. Well, I couldn't come to Kansas without my mountain dulcimer, so here we are. Here we are. And I promised my dear friends, Louisa Leverage Gallis and Richard Gallis, that I would do something in their honor, because tomorrow they will be celebrating their 39th anniversary. And I have known them both since they first got married in Milwaukee so many years ago, and watched them go through some pretty amazing transformations as two very strong and creative people, challenged to stay together with all these things going on, you know. So I wanted to do a little something before I play the song that Louisa had specifically requested that I wrote some time ago. It's a little, just a very short essay written by a guy named Andrew Boyd. We're all looking for that special person who is just right. But if you've been through enough relationships, you begin to realize there is no right person, just different flavors of wrong. Why is this? Because you yourself are wrong in some way, and you seek out partners who are wrong in some complementary way. But it takes a lot of living to grow fully into your own wrongness. It isn't until you come up against your deepest demons, your unsolvable problems, the ones that make you who you truly are, you're ready to find a lifelong mate. Then you finally know what it is you're looking for. You're looking for the wrong person, but not just any wrong person, the right wrong person. Someone you lovingly gaze upon and think, this is the problem I want to have. Here's a song called Anniversary. Uneven as the tree line, you and I, ragged and reaching toward the sky, traveling in circles, it's the path of the heart, sometimes circling closer, sometimes further apart, marbled by the choices we have made alone, grown stronger but night. Those we've shared together, startled into the light. I will never know you well enough. Joy so vast, and yet such pain as we learn to love. All the days and nights of fierce sweet dances our bodies chose. Still I wake beside your love and my wonder grows. Mind how the stranger's touch can be filled with fire, how the unfamiliar may kindle desire. Oh, there's no new encounter near as wild as this, when I dive into the ocean of your kiss. So welcome is the angry word, if it be for gain. Kinder still than silence when answering pain. May such words be spoken that will heal us strong. May we trust the laughter as it moves us along. As the tree line, you and I, ragged and reaching toward the sky, traveling in circles, it's the path of the heart. Sometimes circling closer, sometimes further apart. 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 Happy anniversary, Richard and Louisa. Mazel tov. Woohoo! Well, I wanted to do a piece because our lives have changed so much, but we are getting a lot of takeout food in sort of a different way in order to support our local restaurants. And this is a poem that was inspired some time ago by, I was thinking about refrigerators I have known. You know, I've traveled around. Back when I used to travel around, I'd be in people's houses. And I'd look in the refrigerators just because that's a perk of being in somebody's house. And so I got these little scenarios in my head. And then, of course, I'd come home and look in my own, and that added to the color and the texture of the whole thing that turned into this poem. I never would have thought that the line about driving home from happy hour would be waxing nostalgic, but here we are in any case, and the poem still stands. So just close your eyes and imagine maybe your own refrigerator. This is called The Secret Life of Food. Food gets impatient in its cool, dark suspension. It slows but does not stop the mindless inclination to transform itself. It's not even important whether it's your body that provides the catalytic climate here, or more to the point, the chemistry lab, which is currently your murky refrigerator. So you have little time to prepare food. Pay heed. You who keep meaning to liquidate those pricey, scrumptious leftovers, get real. They waited for you But now they have gone on right in place, liquidating themselves, gracefully assuming the green, the blue furry mantles, the pastel polka dots, the swelling and shriveling circus of decay silently enacting itself, while once again you head home from happy hour, licking your chops in anticipation of that grilled salmon you brought home. When was it? Just a few nights ago, huh? Better think twice about that. Same goes for that wild mushroom soup bubbling away in its cool germy cauldron. Even that fancy chef has given up holding its own and suggests greener pastures in this minefield your life of culinary slackerdom has created. Potatoes under your sink explore olfactory horizons of rancidity. Garlic and onions send their young shoots skyward in a jubilee of resurrection and inedibility. As you pull into your driveway, a perishable paradise festers and waits for no one, blind to your hopes and expectations. Neither is its gentle flurry of activity the result of any vengeful motivation, just things taking their natural microbial course far away from your busy schedule. Suppose, for a moment, it's not so different from some situations in your life where you've been shelved and forgotten. It's not nearly so easy for you to move on before being thrown out way past your expiration date. Think about that while you order Chinese, whose leftovers you can add to the mystery takeout, lurking behind those prime rib scraps toward which you now absent-mindedly reached out. They've crossed over. And they don't care if they take you with them. Unless, of course, you're ready for some real change. The Secret Life of Food, another transformational piece. Well, I sing this song for all sorts of reasons. I'd sing it tonight for Amelia Earhart. I sing it for the fact that a friend just alerted me to the fact that October 1st was the 151st anniversary of the first postcard being sent, and me sending postcards and loving to receive them. It's kind of like the original instant messaging. It was a way of getting a little bit of information across to somebody just to let them know you're thinking about them. Pretty amazing thing. I've been sending postcards lately. But tonight especially, I'm singing it in honor of the monarch butterfly, which I named Amelia Earhart, which I rescued as a caterpillar off of a piece of milkweed on a very cold day several weeks ago, watched it grow, watched it pupate, and a few days ago watched it come out as a butterfly and had to hold it back for a couple of days because it got so cold again. And then it warmed up again, and it's set free and hopefully on its way to Mexico. But it's been such an incredibly humbling honor to get to watch this whole process, this thing that starts as one thing and then turns into a completely different thing and then turns into a completely different thing. And my sweetie Mark and I were talking, and he had the suggestion, I don't know, maybe we're all just still in the caterpillar phase. I don't know. But anyway, this is in honor of transformation. Hop up on these wings of wonder, let us fly toward the sun. Deepest wells and highest mountains, we will know that all is one. Every creature winged and footed, every feature given free. There is no such thing as ugly when the heart can help the eye see. Hop up on these wings of wonder, do not be afraid to fly. I have waited for this moment, do not hesitate to cry. Fear will only kill your longing, make you hope for less than all. There is no such thing as fear when answering sweet mysteries call. Well, hop up on these wings of wonder while they linger, while they stay. They are strength and they are power, they are soaring night and day. Oh, such magic, they grow stronger with each soul to see to know. They will not collapse or wither, though some people think they're all gone. No, 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 no. On these wings of wonder there is room for everyone. Wonderstruck and full of power we can fly when work is done. Free the hand that holds it back, just reach on out and take it in. To be known as well as knowing is to live, to learn again and again and again and again and again. Hop up on these wings of wonder. 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 Hop up, hop up, hop up, hop up, hop up. There you go. Well, it's the end of October, and we're watching the numbers go up again in our country for the coronavirus. Everybody was hoping we'd be done by now. So I thought I should play a song tonight that I wrote back in May when we were looking ahead, but not as far as we might have or should have, to what this really means and how we can take care of not only ourselves but each other by something as simple as wearing a mask and staying far away from people. And it gets, I totally understand. There are days when I'm so tired of it all, I just don't even want to leave the house because I don't even want to confront the reality of going into the store and seeing everybody wearing a mask. It's depressing, it's exhausting. And yet we need to do it to make this thing go away in any measurable fashion. So this is a very contemplative song, just to kind of breathe into it, how you can find your space and your comfort. I was thinking that it would have been a great thing early on if they had taken the word masculinity and changed the C to a K and just started putting up billboards that said, "Be masculine, exert your masculinity, wear your mask." And because it's unfortunately been turned into such a macho thing. You know, somebody posted this picture of sort of like a Viking guy going, "I've sworn an oath of solitude till the pestilence is purged from the land." You know, it just sounds a lot better than, "I don't want to go out of the house and get sick." So this is called My Quarantine Prayer. I am waiting, yes, I'm waiting. There is nothing else to be done, but this waiting's a kind of doing. It's a way to help everyone. My little solitude's a way of joining the greater multitude of which I'm part. So I'll keep waiting until the way is clear to come together, heart to weary heart. I hear the anger, deep suspicion. This is all just an evil plan. Our very freedom's in greatest peril if we heed these harsh demands. How can we turn away from one another? So many suffering a sad, lonely end. If I can save one life by waiting, that's what I'll do for you, my troubled friend. Nothing like this in our lifetime. Many plagues have brought down strife, and always those who were the deniers, who only cared for their small life. Here's a chance to move beyond selfish gain and rise up to humanity's call. So I wait and weep and wonder at all these acts of strength and courage, great and small. The weeks are passing, still more are dying. So don't you tell me this is just a game. Now is the time to find your compassion. And remember, we're all the same. Not a one of us who's not fragile. You could be next, and that is why I'll keep waiting until the way is clear. Come together kindly, please let's try to come together kindly, please let's try. My quarantine prayer. I hope it gives you a little comfort on those frustrating days. I'm going to do a couple things to wrap up here, but I just wanted to thank again the Open Range Concert Series and Peggy Kelly for setting this up. I want to encourage people to seek me out elsewhere. I do not every Wednesday, but about every other Wednesday. I call it my Wednesday evening musicale, where I kind of do a half-hour concert of what's on my mind, little themes, and then go to my website. My virtual tip vessel lives there, which has come in very handy during these times, and I'd be very grateful for a visit. And then I also keep all the old videos there. If you haven't seen any of them, you can go back a long way, all the way back to mid-April when I started doing the musicales. CDs. My email is there. If you want to send me a note, I'm happy to hear from people. I miss talking to people after concerts and that connection that's so much a part of touring for me and part of what I really missed with this whole thing. So thank you, Peggy. Thank you all for listening. And I want to kind of leave you with with a couple of beautiful songs. The first was written by my friend Bill Harley recently, after he had heard the story about Elijah McClain, the young black man who was killed by police in Denver, actually a year ago this past August, but it had kind of been brushed under the rug until George Floyd was murdered, and then it came up into the spotlight again. And Bill wrote this incredibly gorgeous song that is a lament, and then into a song of mine to wind up, to get us revved up, to go vote in a very short amount of time if you haven't already, and just get what's that saying I heard at the beginning of a blues song several years ago? Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. So I'll leave you with that sentiment. But first, this beautiful song called Elijah. Elijah, oh Elijah, a child of God, what have we done to you? What have we done? Elijah, oh Elijah, I say your name. So many others too, they all have names. Elijah, they say in other times, People could fly away. People could fly. Elijah, raise wide your gentle arms, fly o'er this troubled world, and fly away, and fly away. Elijah, oh Elijah, a child of God, what have we done to you? What will we do? I was in the Twin Cities some years ago, the day after a concert, reading about how there was supposed to have been a neo-Nazi rally the day before my concert, disrupted by an anti-hate group who showed up with rocks and baseball bats. Again, we're always walking that line, we're always making those choices. I was headed up north to Lake Superior, who gave me this song to get on with my life, and I pass it on to you so that you can get on with yours. Failed again, he cannot win here. He is a pawn in someone else's game. They laugh him off as just a loser. They cannot see he'll never be the same. He stays up late, he studies harder. He learns these laws they used to break his heart. He has a wife, she too is learning. Together they will break these chains apart. Deep in the night their lamp is burning. They cannot rest, so urgent is the need. Not one more child, nor man, nor woman should know the cruel end that hatred breeds. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Lake Superior gave me that chorus, sing it with me. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. A sea of anger floods our nation. Some are lost in its dark undertow. Where is the strength to tread these waters and stem despair about to overflow? It's in the hearts and minds of people who see this world as common ground for all. It's in the earth and sky forever, and everything alive to freedom's call. There is a willingness to triumph over a force that tries to crush your soul. And in the towns and in the country, more lamps will burn as wounded hearts grow whole. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Come on now. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. There is no simple end to hatred. It's in the fabric of this textured time. But when the threads of love are strongest, we'll weave a garment rich and fair and fine. The lamp is dark, the lovers sleep now. They gather strength in dreams which they will share. And with the sun they rise replenished. And they are rising, rising everywhere. And with the sun they rise replenished. And they are rising, rising everywhere. And with the sun they rise replenished. They are rising, rising everywhere. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Keep singing. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Be well. Be strong, take care of yourselves and each other. Thank you so much for listening tonight. Thanks to Peggy Kelly and Open Range Concerts. Blessings. Good night.